I gotta say, I'm sad that I was sick the last couple days, just not feeling well, having to rest myself up, because I would have liked to have been live talking about this as everybody was sort of having the discourse, but I feel like we do benefit from being able to cover the whole breadth of this situation, and a lot of people have put in the legwork of compiling clips into compilations that make covering this substantially easier than it would have been even yesterday. So I do appreciate that, at least. You see, Hasan Piker, I don't really need to explain much about him. He is the largest left-wing figure out there. I've got a lot of disagreements with him. Frankly, my disagreements went from just being like, Hasan's not really for me, to the point where Hasan started using his platform to push ideas I took large issue with. A lot of them have to do with, like, his anti-Ukraine positions, or his positions when it comes to, well, frankly, not liking the idea of a two-state solution between Israel and Palestine. He seems to want there to just be no Israel, period, ever, at all, however that has to happen. And I don't really like that idea. I think there's some pretty cringe implications with that, but that's not what this video is about. No. See, Hasan was live the other day. He was just doing a normal stream, talking to his chat, when all of a sudden his dog, Kaya, tried to get up off of the neat little dog bed in the background, and Hasan got a little frustrated with her over it, and she wasn't, like, barking or, like, chewing on anything, or, from what I could tell, causing any, like, kind of ruckus, but she was getting up and kind of doing that dog thing where they probably just get a little sore laying on one side, so they get up and they do a little circle, and they lay down on the opposite side, and they curl up, like, into an inverted donut of the previous little donut they were in. The dog was basically doing that, and in reaction to it, Hasan turns and starts kind of whining at the dog. Not really, like, yelling at it or commanding it or anything, but whining at it. You'll see in a moment, but I'm kind of laying things out. And shortly after, and it's worth noting, Hasan does seem to be moving his arm around in a weird way, kind of like this. And if you're wondering what I'm doing now, I'm reaching towards things on my desk. He kind of makes that motion. You can just kind of tell because his arm kind of lifts and is going towards the camera in he's reaching towards his desk kind of way. And as he does, his dog yelps. Like a yelp, and the dog recoils its paw and gets up onto the dog bed. Most people's immediate reaction was, holy shit, did he just reach for the remote control on an electric collar, on a shock collar? Hit the button on it, activate it, and shock the dog for moving off the dog bed? Is that what Hasan just did? Hasan immediately denied this. Immediately denied it, of course. And, you know, shock collars, especially for a large dog that could theoretically, if poorly trained, hurt somebody, hurt a child maybe, I don't necessarily think that's unreasonable. It should obviously be calibrated well, and frankly, you should use it on yourself before you ever use it on your dog, like on your neck. If you're not willing to put it on your neck and activate it multiple times and shock your own neck multiple times, you shouldn't be putting it on your dog. If you can't handle it, your dog can. If at most it should be used as like a corrective, like, oh, hey, what, like a tension-getting tool. But I'm not really a big fan of shock collars. Never had big dogs that have needed them, but just the concept of them seems inhumane to me. A lot of animal experts say they're not, but I feel like oftentimes most people are not checking to make sure. I don't think most people put the shock collar on their own neck and activate it to see if they can handle it before they put it on their dog. And truly, if you're not willing to put it on your own neck and shock yourself several times in a row, why the fuck would you put it on your dog? Seriously, why would you ever do that? How's that logic make sense? And so I'm not a big shock collar guy, and the internet does not seem to be a big fan of them either. Because people are mad at Hasan, and the argument as to whether or not shock collars are humane for training has kind of leapt out the window, and the conversation is largely now about whether or not Hasan was using a shock collar. And if so, how much of a piece of shit he would be for using it to correct his dog enough that it yelped simply for trying to reposition on the mat. Now you're going to see the clip that I'm talking about here, but not just that. You're going to see it within a time lapse of that whole stream. okay? Now, I want you to think about how often you need to get a sip of water or use the bathroom. How often your dog needs to get a sip of water, use the bathroom, or get something to eat. And I want you to watch this. And granted, this is a large dog, and large dogs are a little, you know, slower on all of their, like, survival game timers, we'll call them. You know, food, having used the bathroom, thirst, that kind of thing. Nonetheless, watch this, okay? This is the start of Hasan's stream up till the point, the very first time in the whole stream where Hasan allows the dog to leave the room. Now, to be clear, it's very possible Hasan just took the dog out. It just had a big old sip thing of water. It just ate. That's possible. Even if that's the case, though, watch. And watch this timer.
What's going on, everybody? I hope everyone's having a fantastic evening, afternoon, pre-noon, no matter where you are in the world. I'm Hasan Piker, and this is the Hasan broadcast.
Oh, and if Hasan's going to self-promo, so will I. Hit the like button and comment down below if you like this video and want to support it. It really does help a lot. Also, your crush will kiss you if you do. And if you don't, then she'll sink into quicksand and never be seen again. So now we're getting in about 30 minutes. You know, Kaya's moving around a little bit. Hasan's not really done anything about Kaya repositioning on the mat, thankfully. But we're about an hour in, hour 20 minutes in. Kaya's repositioned. Mostly just moving around occasionally. 2 hours in now. No water, no bathroom. I mean, there was a be right back, so it could have happened then.
Much more consequential.
Here's the clip.
Violence. Okay? It's the same reason as to why America, Kaya, please just fucking go, just stop.
Okay, once again, just to highlight the clip here, I will explain both sides' explanations to this, and I will explain what side I am on and what side I think is clearly the right side. So, at this point, Kaya is getting off of the bed and really does seem to be, like, about to walk around the room. Now, my understanding is that Hasan spot trains Kaya. That is to say, what spot training is in actual dog training is establishing a zone for the dog that is its safe zone. Its zone where you keep its toys, its treats, maybe, that's where you feed it. Just an area where you're always petting it and providing it positive reinforcement. So if the dog is ever feeling stressed or upset, it'll go to that spot and it'll be content there and feel safe and secure. It's kind of like a security blanket you train into the dog, but it also provides a pretty useful thing because you can tell the dog to stay there and the dog will be content there, right? So spot training is important, but spot training cannot be done through negative reinforcement. Watched a lot of like Dog Whisperer and a lot of those like Discovery Channel and Animal Planet like dog trainer like channels, or not channels, like shows back in the day. And pretty unanimously, the consensus is that outside of like actively violent dogs, negative reinforcement basically never works. Frankly, dogs just don't really have the capability of processing the idea of a punishment. It just doesn't compute for them. Neither does it compute for cats. So, I don't know. It's not good training. Like, assuming he did shock the dog to try to spot train the dog and keep Kaya in that spot, it's not good spot training. You're not encouraging Kaya to view that place as a safe spot to go when it's like thundering and lightning, or when there's fireworks, or when family's visiting and you don't want the dog jumping up on them. You're basically sort of forcing that to be the dog's spot. Now, my understanding is the reason why he does this specifically in there is the dog wants to be in Hasan's room. This is his claim, by the way. Supposedly the dog wants to be in Hasan's room. But Hasan has, granted, tens of thousands of dollars worth of different collectibles and props in the background of the setup. Some of them being like katanas and blades and stuff like that. So, understandably, I don't think he wants the dog getting hyper and zooming around the room like his streaming office. I can absolutely see that. And so it's like, if the dog's going to be in here, the dog's got to be on that dog bed. Spot trained to that dog bed. But at that point, we introduce the next part of this, which is everyone kind of considering this Hasan using his dog as a prop. Like all the other things he's got in his background, his dog is just a prop. And I'm I'm going to tell you this right now. It is a well-known thing among content creators and streamers that you instantly guarantee, like, at least up your viewership by 25%, if not more, if you have a constant stream of your pet added to your stream somewhere. If you can have your pet sleeping in the background, like your dog or your cat, it instantly guarantees higher viewer retention. It's just a known thing among creators. So, I don't know. I feel like that there is some merit to that argument. Desperate to attack Hasan, typical lib shit. You can be mad about it, but the whole internet is going off on him right now about this. People don't like the idea of abusing dogs. This is the internet. You don't hurt animals. If someone thinks you've hurt animals, they're going to go after your ass. That's just how it is. But no, I am not a part of the Hasan worship cult, though I know you are, so you can just enjoy the ban. I will not be kowtowing to Hasan as, like, the leader of the internet lefty cult. That said, though, this is Hasan's claim, is that he did not shock the dog here, that instead... We'll watch here. Really
America, quick. Kaya, please just fucking go. Just stop.
His argument was that Kaya clipped her dew claw on the edge of the bed. For those who don't know, the dew claw is a claw that is like around the back of the ankle. Like it's higher up in the back of the dog's back legs, and I think front legs too, maybe. And it's basically, imagine you had an extra pinky toe at the top of your heel, on the, like, at the back of, like, or at the top of the back of your heel, and you could stub it by accidentally, like, stepping a certain way. Non-functional, and it's just a fully stubbable pinky toe at the back of your, like, heel. That's more or less what the dew claw is for a dog. So theoretically, the equivalent of stubbing that toe at the back of your heel could have happened. That could have happened, theoretically. Now, here's the thing. I wanted to see if that was plausible, and, you know, I have a pretty decent idea of what that would look like if that's what happened. You know, I've had many dogs, small ones, not big ones, but still. And just watching the video over and over again, especially when correlating the movement of his arm to something on his desk with when the dog, like, recoils and shrieks, man, it's hard not to think it's him hitting a remote on his desk to activate a shock collar.
Kaya, please just...
What's he looking down at and reaching for here, is the question. He's frustrated at the dog, and he's calling out at the dog. He looks down, reaches towards something on his desk. Let's watch.
Fucking...
He's really reaching for something on his desk here, as he complains about the dog. He's looking at something on his desk and reaching for it.
Just stop.
He hits something, like, he does something like this, like he's hitting a button on his desk, and then immediately, when it looks like he's doing the action of hitting a button, the dog yelps. The light activates too. Look at that face, just look at that freaking face. He looks like... Bro doesn't give two shits. But then look at his reaction afterwards. He acts like he's talking to the dog in a way to, like, calm it down after the shock, without wanting to give away that he just shocked the dog. You know what I mean?
Oh.
Oh, we didn't see the full bit. But then, for another hour now, after that clip, once again, I don't think there's been a single water, bathroom, or food break for the dog. The dog has not been allowed to walk around for getting on 4 hours now. We're getting close to 4 hours. 4 hours and 21 minutes. And Hasan and Kaya leave frame. 4 hours and 21 straight minutes of the dog, supposedly, whether it be through a shock collar or just Hasan whining at the dog, not allowed to get up and walk around. Hasan also calls the dog spoiled because of his mom, because apparently the dog's spoiled for wanting to get up and walk around. It's a bad look, man. How old is the dog? Pretty young. Pretty young, I think. Not, like, probably full grown, but still pretty young. Like, early-ish into its life. Probably, like, 5 years old, maybe. So yeah, not a puppy by any means, but not like an old boomer dog or anything. And so that was like I think what really stuck with me was watching that, because I imagine, like, how often, like, somebody in the household's got to take care of my dog. It's got to be either me, my mom, like, the dog's got to be taken care of. When my mom's back in California, she's got to do it, but, like, the dog's got to go out, like, 5-6 times a day, you know? Like, it's a smaller dog, to be fair, so that kind of escalates or kind of adds on to things to a degree, but still, like, a 4-hour and 20-minute stint, no bathroom, no water. Water is a rough one. I can't go an hour without water before I start to feel a little icky, you know? 4 hours and 20 minutes with no water, like, even if you're just laying around, but that's not great. You know, it's not ideal, you know? And I don't see, like, well, I think is that a water bowl? Hold on. Chat, does that look like a water bowl to you? Like right here? Like, does this look like a Tupperware, a clear Tupperware with water in it? Enhance. It could be something else. It could be, like, totally something else, but it's in the position and kind of looks enough like it could be a water bowl for the dog. Because I feel like, man, Hasan would have to be a monster not to allow Kaya, like, water for hours at a time like this. You know what I mean? Like, this is the kind of shit that I pull when I'm on an airplane, where it's like, all right, I don't want to have to be getting up to go use the bathroom all the time, and I don't want to be sitting here having to use the bathroom, so I'm going to be taking little sips of water the whole flight. Like once or twice a year on a flight is one thing, but this cannot be a sustained, normal way that your dog lives its life. I can't feel like that's healthy. I don't feel like that can be healthy. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I'm thinking, could the water... Well, that's the thing. Even if it's out of frame, unless it's behind Hasan's chair, and even then it's hard, because we watch the time-lapse, Kaya's never off frame. Like, Kaya could never have been doing something that we couldn't have seen. Like, we see Kaya's mouth through all of that time-lapse for the most part. So, like, Kaya's mouth could not have been intaking water or food when we're not looking. Or when, like, at any point, because we saw everything. I don't know. It's just a bad look. It's a bad look, and that's not all. Hasan apparently responded, wanting to prove that it was not an electric collar. So he decided to show it on stream. Now, this is a serious drama. People are up his ass about this. And if you wanted to prove it was not a shock collar, would you show it like... Guys, look, it's not a shock collar. See the brand? See the brand? There you go. It's phone vape. See the brand? Like, you would hold it up, and you would want them to be able to see. And you would want to make it very clear that they know what brand it is, what model number it is, that it's not an electric collar. The way he shows off Kaya's collar here, assuming it even is the same collar, I'm assuming he's not lying about what collar it is, and he didn't just go buy this, but... The way he shows it off is interesting, to say the least. Let's watch him. A lot of people were ripping into him for this one.
It has the capacity to vibrate.
Hey,
and that's it. Are you happy? That's it. Good. There's the air tag. There's the fucking vibrator. It also has a flashlight component to it at nighttime, and it also has a tracker on it when she gets lost. If she were to actually get fucking lost.
So, yep, the prongs are taped over. That has been most people's response to this. He doesn't really show it for very long. You get very brief. Why did it... There we go. We get very brief glimpses at it, but at one point he shows where the prongs for an electric collar would be. And they don't seem to be there at a glance, which is reassuring. But you look at this and it's like, wait a second. What is that little glint of metal? And why would it be peeking out from something black? What is going on here? And if you look at this long enough, if you, like, really zoom in on it, it's really, really obvious that he taped over the prongs with black electrical tape. That's like I'm sure that if I went into an office store right now, if I went into an office store right now on stream, I could probably find exactly the kind of electrical tape he used. Look, as he turns it sideways, you can see the little glint of metal peeking out from underneath the tape. Now, just enhancing on a relatively low-quality image is not all the evidence we have here, because Lonerbox ended up deep diving. He ended up going all over the online markets trying to find the identical thing that Hasan showed off without, just trying to see if it really looks how it does in the way that he shows it. Like, is there really that weird back to it that almost looks electrical taped? Well, let's find out, shall we? This is a clip of Lonerbox's stream where he showcases what he has found, and I gotta say, his evidence is really compelling.
Closely match the ET300 Mini Educator half-mile remote e-collar, which does have shock prongs.
For the record, by the way, these shock prongs are spring loaded, basically, or spring loaded. They're basically they're attached to springs, so when it's put on your dog, they kind of like push into the main part of the device, which means if you put tape over it, you would think like, oh, well, it's really hard to tape over these prongs. How would Hasan have done that? Well, these prongs push down pretty low, so if you taped them over, they would actually be kept down, and it would really look like you were using a collar that had no prongs on it. But it goes deeper than that.
It seems to match in shape, in the positioning of the charging port.
They are
texture
identical.
Of the plastic, unlike this one with the much more curvy light than the one Hasan has. This one, which is vibrate only, also has its charging point on the side.
Yeah, so there is, from the exact same brand as the collar that Hasan got, there is a variant that does not have any electrocuting abilities, has no prongs on it, but the charging port is in a different place because you can't put the charging port where the prongs are. And so when you look at Hasan's model, you can see the charging port is in the same spot as the version. That's the charging port right there. And you can see it's in the same spot as where the version of it that has prongs is at. And if it was in this spot, or if it was the version without prongs, sorry, it would be in this spot. Also, notice how we see no model number, which is present in both. No model number on the back here, showing that he has clearly used tape to cover up the inside of the shock distribution battery hub, the power supply.
The one Hasan has the charging point in the middle.
Good journalism
like
from Lonerbox, big time.
Where the prongs that could deliver the shock are simply removable. You can just remove them. Or apparently, maybe, plausibly, ostensibly, cover them with black tape. That seems
it's definitely black electrical tape. Okay. Like we could go to a fucking craft store or a Home Depot and I could find exactly the shit he used too. I know exactly the kind of shit he used. So, I think that's pretty darn conclusive. Like, it's pretty clear. I watched that clip like 8 times last night and was like, damn, they really are identical. They really are. It looked like hockey tape. I'm pretty sure it's black electrical tape. I think I might have some on a roll somewhere around here in my room. Anyway, though, one moment. So, a lot of the drama from this has essentially gone around, okay, let's say you didn't shock Kaya, Hasan. Let's say you didn't do that. Why were you upset at Kaya? What did Kaya do that you were complaining at her about? Or him? Her? I actually don't know the dog's gender, but let's not assume. Them about. What were you complaining to your dog about? What did they do wrong? Get up and walk around for a moment? Here's Hasan explaining himself on that front.
Let her roam around the house. I'm not a hate watcher, just curious. Okay, so let me address a couple things really quickly. First and foremost, I have done this. I have addressed this a million times over. And not only have I addressed this, but I've also shown like, not only have I addressed this, but I've also shown in videos like Kaya's day-to-day experiences and stuff.
Kai might get arthritis if he lays down on a wooden floor, quote unquote. Okay, why don't you get a soft carpet? No, that's a reasonable explanation. You really don't want your dogs laying down on hardwood floor or walking on it if you can help it. Especially once hardwood floors get old and they lose their like varnish and their like finish, they start to get like that original sort of like dry wood coming out underneath, sort of like the finish comes off and you get that unfinished wood coming out underneath. And if you walk on it, it will actively start to dry out the bottoms of your feet and the bottoms of your dog's paws. And then on top of that, just hardwood in general, it just isn't a good surface for your dog to lay on. It's bad for their joints and for their bones. It puts pressure points on certain parts of their body. It's not ideal or comfortable for them. But they're, you know, big dogs especially, and even little ones, they're tough. They'll tough it out. They'll just fuck it we ball through, like, damaging their body if they don't, because they just don't give a fuck, you know? So you got to be careful about that kind of stuff. Yep, their paws get all cracked and crusty. I've seen it. You got to be careful when it comes to hardwood floor with dog paws. Yeah, you got to be careful. Getting just carpet installed is not an easy task. You have to basically move. Like, all the effort that goes into moving you have to do just to be able to have guys come in and install carpet. You can get some rugs instead, which is clearly what Hasan's done. He's got a ton of rugs. So I'm not going to nitpick that. But I will use that comment as an opportunity to educate people that, like, certain things Hasan says here about dog care aren't bullshit. And I don't want people to think they are when they're not, just because Hasan said it. You should absolutely be concerned about your dog's health when laying on and walking on like wood floors. It's a thing.
Like that. Obviously, she gets out. She has an incredibly active morning. And not only that, but she also has an incredibly active afternoon. She gets 2 hours of playtime every morning at either the gym or at the park that I go to. And then as a big dog, as big dogs oftentimes do, she passes the fuck out for extended periods of time throughout the day. As far as not letting her roam in the room itself, there's a very specific purpose for that. That is because, and this is something that I've described over and over again, the reason why she's not allowed to roam inside of this room, with the exception of like stretching or getting up, getting down,
dog at the gym,
drinking water, things like that, is because she likes to lay on the ground. When she lays on the ground, that's terrible for her fucking joints. Every single thing that I do with this dog.
Fun fact, you know what's really bad for your joints? Going up and down stairs and jumping up and down on the couch and bed. If you want your dogs to have access to the couch and bed, you should do what I've done for my little doggy, which is you make a ramp or a staircase that they can go up. Because you like a small staircase, more of a ramp than a staircase. Like, you don't want them to have to do little jumps and hops, and especially you don't want them to jump off. Like, you really don't want your pets jumping off the bed or the couch. That is really bad for them. And while they're not going to like break their leg probably doing that, what happens is they accumulate joint stress and joint damage over time, and it accumulates at a relatively exponential rate to the point where around 11, 12 years old, when your dog's still got a good amount of life left in it, but it's in its, you know, golden years, that's when the arthritis hits. And all dogs and cats get arthritis when they get older, but how bad it is and how low their quality of life will be in their later years directly correlates to how well you take care of them in this respect in their younger life. Do not let your puppies jump up and down off the couch. When they're an older dog, they're going to suffer for it. And you have to be the party pooper that says, no, 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 you can't jump up and down off the couch. You have to use the ramp. I promise you, it's best for their health. Pro tip.
Is either with a professional dog trainer or with a vet. Okay? Professional dog trainer or a vet. A lot of people don't understand how serious this is to take care of your dog, how important it is to make sure.
Retard, you better not be trolling. If there better actually be a real life extension shot for dogs coming, or I'm gonna fucking tweet. You cannot bring that up lightly, okay? That's you're those are fighting words, okay? If you're not serious, all right? Because we're not fucking around about that, all right? We're talking about our dog's lifespan's being expanded, okay? You're real? You're real about that? You're serious. That's real. We're gonna have to look into that, Retard. You should send that my way. I'm gonna look into that. Thank you for letting me know, because I had no clue that was a thing. I'm gonna see if I can give my dog some super dog serum.
That you have like proper activity, proper socializing, and to make sure that your dog gets out, make sure that your dog is actually active, and more importantly, make sure that your dog has a regimented and very structured life.
I don't know if regimented and structured life is necessary for your dog. I'm gonna be completely honest. Dogs, I mean, I'm sure it helps with training, and maybe the like rigorous training is more necessary for large dogs. I don't know. My uncle had a big ass Arctic wolf, it was a timber wolf, Arctic wolf, and German Shepherd mix, and it was a big ass, impressive dog. Okay, just a big fucking dog, and she could easily like 1v1 a human being and take them out easily. Okay. But she loved me more than anything. She was the sweetest dog ever. She had like a brown and blue eye and was all white coat. When she was like around 8 years old, she got cancer in one of her eyes and lost that eye to a surgery, but ended up fully recovering and living her life for like another decade after that or something like that. Yeah, I think she lived to be 18 or 19. So yeah, she lived a real long time. But she was so smart. And this is a very common thing with big dogs. She was so smart, it oftentimes felt like she was a person in the level of communication she was capable of. Because when I was staying at my uncle's, I'd just be sitting in my room, like playing Fortnite with my friends, and she would have to use the bathroom, and she would just come up to the door and just go, "Arf!" I'd be like, okay, 1 second, guys. Luna's got to use the bathroom. I get up, walk to the door, go out to the backyard, open the door, and she'd just run out, go and do her business. And I could just shut the door, go inside, go on the computer, and wait until she goes, "Aroof," again. And then I open the door, she comes right on in after she's finished her business and doing her patrol around the yard fence. And she comes in, and she's good. She walks herself, gets her exercise in, uses the bathroom, and she tells me, she tells my uncle and me, whoever it is that lets her out, whenever it's time to come in and whenever it's time to go out. Just straight up with a little oof. Not like a demand, just a getting your attention, let you know I need something. And it's almost always like, gotta use the bathroom, something like that. So, wait, what was the dog's name? Luna. She was a white wolf, so pretty obvious name for the dog, honestly. To give you an idea of what she looked like, not too dissimilar to Sif from Dark Souls. My dog looks at me and stands next to the door. A lot of dogs are able to communicate that, but I always loved that my uncle's dog was like very verbal about it and would like call from outside to be like, "Hey, come let me in. It's time for me to come inside." Really good stuff. Now, this was not the end of the saga, though, because Moist Critical there we go. Moist Critical jumped into the fray in regards to all of this, calling out Hasan. And not only that, but in the same breath, he announced that he is more or less retiring from YouTube and streaming as a job. Not that he's going to be stopping in regards to making content, but that he has made so much money that as far as doing this all as a career that is done for profit goes, he's just turned off all donations and everything. He's done what Pokimane did a while back, and it's like, y'all have supported me for a decade. I live in a mansion. I've got millions saved in the bank. Frankly, I feel bad when you guys donate now, and cut off the faucet of donations. Now, something that many people have brought up is that consistently these like apolitical normie creators who probably have a fraction of Hasan's wealth, in all honesty. Remember, Hasan is huge, okay? A massive creator. Hasan's made unfathomable amounts of money. I think me and some friends actually calculated it one time, back before I even disliked Hasan. Hasan was like sitting at like 52,000 subs on Twitch, and we calculated that assuming every one of those subs was a tier 1 sub, the lowest possible sub tier, then Hasan was easily making $25,000 off of that. And remember, Twitch sub creator gets like $2.50 off of a $5 tier 1 sub. So minimum, he was making like 25K. Like, a month off of just subs, right? Like, that's some serious money. And that's one source of income, period, right? And that's assuming the lowest possible floor for what he could have been making monthly. That is his monthly floor, right? So people have kind of been looking at Hasan lately like, bro, you're so rich. You're set for life. You're all about, like, socialism and the idea that, like, the working class should hold on to their money and not be, like certainly not trickling up their income to wealthy people. But Hasan's at this point, like, living a 1%er life, but still getting, like, a nonstop stream of donos from working class fans. And that's become a pretty big talking point, more so because the standard for saying, I've made enough, you guys don't need to donate anymore, was started by non-lefty apolitical creators. When they're the ones establishing and living up to that standard and not the, like, pro-working class guy who's also rich as fuck, that's also not a good look. And so Hasan has been mauling about this, but Moist Critical Charlie dropped a big response to Hasan, and everyone's been talking about this. So let's give it just a quick look. We'll watch a little bit of it here. I'm going to speed it up just so that we don't end up stun locking for too long.
Obviously, I'm a little greasy. No, I haven't showered yet. So what? Who cares? Have you showered yet? If you did and didn't use Cheeky soap, then it doesn't count. Cheeky's the best soap in the universe. I know, I'm looking disheveled. But what are you? The Mighty Morphin Shower Rangers? I also haven't grown any taller. I'm still short. You want to make a big deal out of that too?
You're short.
Point is, yesterday was a pretty crazy day on Twitch. I think most of you have noticed over the last year or so, I've been very out of touch when it comes to internet creator drama. I haven't been keeping up like I used to, but occasionally I do still dip my toes in sporadically to see what's going on. And yesterday during stream, chat was telling about two really big things that were happening. The first being a live-streamed birth on Twitch. The second being Hasan...
Yeah, Fandy gave birth on Twitch. At-home natural birth on Twitch. I think it's kind of beautiful in a way. I don't really see a problem with it. Yeah, I know people in chat are saying what and nah, but I kind of think that's beautiful in a way, but also kind of fucked. It's like, would it be fucked if a birth was on live TV? Is it fucked when they record births for the sake of, like, medical students to be able to watch? Hell, there are tons of medical procedures, including live birth, where they've got windows for medical students to watch it go down. Like, obviously, she arranged for this to happen. You know, I guess the baby and the future person that baby will become can't really consent to, like, being a part of this. And you could argue that, like, the child itself has lost some autonomy in this, but... Lamau Twitch TOS about to get updated after this one? I don't know. The way they did it, what if it was stillborn? Oh, God. I don't even want to open that can of worms, but holy shit, that would enter some weird territory. Fuck, you're right. I didn't even think about that. Because what if... Then you would have a dead baby on stream. Oh, God. Yeah, I don't even want to get into that. That's... Good point. That is a concern. That is a concern. But everything did go well, from what I understand. Fandy's like a WoW streamer. And I think she's friends with Asmongold. Cringe, but I don't think she's even friends with Asmongold anymore. I know her from, like, being around Asmongold's clique within the WoW space, and he hasn't done WoW in so long. They probably haven't spoken, but still, yeah. Like, I could definitely see there being problems with this, theoretically, but I don't think this is the end of the world. I think people might be getting a little too crazy about this. I think this is more of a historical event to, like, celebrate. I feel like, I don't know, like, a woman giving birth and creating life is quite the accomplishment. And if she's a streamer and wants to share that with her audience, I can see that being a respectable thing to do.
Anyway, though, let's move on to the next subject. This is the one that is by far the biggest from yesterday, and probably one of just the biggest topics in general, which is Hasan and his dog.
But it is emblematic of all of America's much more
From the kennel to the tree, Kaya will run free.
consequential violence. Okay? It's the same reason as to why America, Kaya, please just fucking go, just stop. Jesus Christ, what are you doing? You're being such a baby. It's just, you're making her stressed. She just literally is so incredibly spoiled from my mom.
Now, for the life of me, like, I cannot understand what he's even upset about in the first place.
Did it sound like he picked something up and put it down? It looks like he's reaching onto his... Okay, let me just show you what it would look like if I did that, okay? See this? This is my remote for my RGB lights, okay? So let's say I put this on... I'm going to put this on my desk, all right? Now, Hasan streams at the same orientation as me, a little offset to the right. And so, if I reach over to hit the button on here, and this is what it looks like when I reach. Here, I'll go full screen because that's kind of the more the view you got. This is what it looks like when I reach. Now, if it's on my desk over here, it looks like this when I reach to go press a button. And when you watch the video, that is basically exactly the motion Hasan makes. As a streamer that knows what it looks like when I go to reach for something on my desk, it looks like Hasan reaching for something on his desk.
America, Kaya, please just fucking go, but just stop.
Does that not look exactly like what I did, reaching for that little remote to click the button? It looks
Jesus
a lot
Christ,
like what I
What are you
did.
doing? You're being such a baby.
It's a very similar, like, frame, I'd say. Like, like, he's a little more offset to the right, I think. A little more of a side profile than I have. But I'd say it's pretty close. I'd say it's pretty darn close to, like, what it looks like when I'm reaching for something on my desk. It looks like he reached for a remote and shocked his dog, is what it looks like. All because it tried to move off of the spot.
It's just... You're making her stressed. She just literally is.
Also, notice how the chat is full of, like, sad faces. I think he, for a second, thought the chat realized what happened in real time. And you could hear he, like, lost his breath and was, like, stuttering on his words. I think he had a moment of panic scrolling through the chat. Because the chat that you're seeing and when it moves is based on whether or not he's scrolling through it or has it scrolled all the way down, in which case it auto-scrolls. And you can see when it stops moving and freezes, it's because he's scrolled in a way and, like, froze it at that point. You can see he's scrolling through the chat as he stutters and sighs, as if he's, like, checking to see if the chat is spamming electric collar. But there are people spamming sad face, and that probably put him into a panic after that. Like, I think he thought for a second people figured him out, which they did, but not in real time.
So incredibly spoiled from my mom.
Now, for the life of me, like, I cannot understand what he's even upset about in the first place that he starts, like, scolding the dog for. She moved, like, an inch, like, slightly off of that. It's like in a video game, like in Metal Gear Solid, when someone gets, like, a fucking question mark over their head, they're, like, zipping to you immediately. Like, she doesn't do anything, really, other than move slightly. And he is noticeably upset. He's upset about that specifically. Even before this incident, earlier in the stream, he had already, you know, gotten annoyed at her for moving around prior to this.
The absolute worst country on the planet, straight up, bar none, a capitalist shithole. Kaya, now is not the opportunity for you to... Down.
Come on, man. Like, I could never. I'm gonna be, like, I could never get mad at my little adorable puppy for getting up off of the spot she's been laying in for 3 hours and moving. Like, I would be worried if my dog was still for 3 straight hours. My dog gets the fucking zoomies. If she sees me, she starts, like, vibrating. And so if she's still for 3 straight hours, something's fucking wrong. Like, that's just my dog, though. But, like, I don't know.
Worst fucking place on the planet. Just a horrific.
I think it's pretty clear that the dog moving off of that spot is what's making Hasan annoyed at her. Now, I saw he mentioned place.
All the money he makes, why not just have someone watch her while he streams? Now, this is my conspiracy theory. Any content creator can back me up on this. It is known, if you have a live feed of your pet as a live streamer, I'd say you guarantee like a 10 to 25% increase in viewer retention. It's just a viewer retention factor. When people start to get bored of what you're doing, they start looking at the animal, and it like holds their attention just that little bit longer to maybe allow you to rehook them. It's just a known thing. The stats don't lie. When you show animals in your stream, the views go up, people start talking, it increases engagement, people react to the dog or cat or whatever it is doing random things, and it increases chat engagement because the people are reacting to the pet. It is a known thing among creators that having a pet in your background, like a live feed of your pets, it boosts the views like crazy. Anything. It can be ferrets. That's what Pirate Software does. A lot of streamers do this. Make no mistake. A lot of these creators would rather just have their pets to themselves and not show them off to the world outside of Instagram photos. I think a lot of them live stream that shit because it increases their retention.
Training. Place is an
I think Hasan wants the dog there because it's part of his set.
actual dog training thing. And the whole idea behind it is designating a spot in a comfortable location for your pet. For a lot of people, I know it's like their office if they work from home. And Hasan was talking about how that area...
Don't know what the issue is for allegedly shocking a dog. These stupid-ass influencers are steady reaching for low-hanging fruit. Man, the Hasan cult is dedicated, bro. The reason people are upset is that Hasan shocked his dog to discipline it for moving off of a spot after 3.5 hours of laying there still. That's why people are upset. That is why. That's why the shock is considered inhumane. Not just that it's a shock, which granted a lot of people don't like shock collars, but even if you take that out of the equation, it's that he disciplined the dog for wanting to move after multiple hours of sitting there. No water, no food, no bathroom breaks.
Is her place. And for dog training, place is supposed to be like their happy spot where they are super safe and they feel super secure. And the way training goes with this, at least from everything I know about dog...
It's like, you know how dogs kind of freak out when there's thunder or lightning or fireworks or whatever? If you train your dog to have a place spot or just have a place, then instead of running around freaking out, hiding under beds, barking, whatever freak out reaction your dog might have, it goes to its happy place. Goes to its safe spot. It's safe space, literally. And it's useful, but not being well ingrained by Hasan here.
Training. Now keep in mind, when we first got Tetra, we did do dog training because my grandmother used to live with my parents, and Tetra gets very excited to see...
I get it, bro. He's a shitty dog owner, but I think the way they are trying to cancel him is kind of ridiculous. I mean, he's a large public figure, and he virtue signals about how holier than thou he is over everyone else constantly. If you criticize him for his political takes, you get called, like, pro-Israel, because Hasan is anti-Israel, so if you're anti-Hasan, no matter what your issue is with him, that makes you pro-Israel, because you're attacking pro-Palestine creators, quote-unquote. Like, he's gotten away with so much bullshit, from pro-Russia bullshit, anti-Ukraine nonsense, to literally arguing that Israel as a country should be wiped out. And its people, 50% of the world's Jews, whatever has to happen to them to make that happen, who cares? Like, this dude has glorified terrorism. He's gotten away with all this shit. And now people are calling him out for potentially abusing his dog on stream. And you're like, why does everybody just want to cancel him? He's a multi-millionaire. He's going to make 10 times your yearly income this month. Why are you glazing him? Why are you out here whining about me criticizing him? Why are you so dedicated to glazing this guy who lives a life better than anything you will ever have and has absolutely no sympathy for the fact that yours will never be as good as his? He doesn't feel bad for you. He doesn't. I promise you, he does not care about you. I'm gonna crash out. Anyway.
People, it's accusing the world, but she loves to jump on people. And my grandma, living at my parents when we'd go to visit, or if they came to visit, if Tetra would jump on her, it could cause injury. So we did do dog training in order to learn how to, like, help with that. We didn't do any, like, fear training or anything like that with shock collars or whatever, but place was something that we did learn about. And when it comes to place, you do not want to, like, make it something stressful for the animal, at least in our teachings. It's supposed to be a comforting spot for them, not like a stressful thing, where they just go there and fucking, like, blue screen in the brain and just sit there idly comatose. And if they don't, they get punished. So he's calling this her place. But when she's moving from the place, he's scolding her. That's not what we were taught you're supposed to do when it comes to place training. That kind of defeats the purpose of it. I don't know why he would be getting so upset at that, like angry at the dog for moving from place. That really does kind of defeat the whole purpose of it. And then in that clip, it seems like he reaches for something. Like he looks off screen and he extends his arm to something, and then shortly thereafter, the dog yelps in pain, and Hasan turns around and calls her a baby, and then tries to reassure the chat that she is spoiled, and then goes on to say that she's spoiled because his mother lets her, have free roam around the house. Now, he and the community are claiming that he didn't use a shock collar or anything, didn't, zap her, fucking Palpatine lightning blast her or anything.
I like how much the goalpost has moved. Like, you've got the Hasan defenders in chat saying, shock collars are fine, shock collars are fine. It's like, if that's the case, if that's the standard that you're trying to defend Hasan on, clearly Hasan doesn't agree with you. Because Hasan electrical taped over the prongs on the shock collar he has. Everyone online now knows the exact model of shock collar he uses on his dog. People found it. They found the online listings for it. It is identical to what he showed off when he showed the collar on stream. And he made the mistake of showing a side profile of the collar where you could see under the tape a little bit and you could see the shiny metal bits of the prongs poking up against the tape. And you can see the charging port, which for the version of that collar that has no electrical shock abilities on it, the charger is in a different spot from the one that does. And you can clearly see where the charging port is on the collar Hasan shows. And it is in the spot where it would be if it's an electric collar. So Hasan tried to hide that he used a shock collar. So if your argument is, well, Hasan did nothing wrong because shock collars are okay, tell that to Hasan, because he tried to cover up that he used a shock collar as if that was a big deal and a bad thing that he ought to be canceled for and did not want people to know.
Like that, she got her dew claw stuck on that spot, and that's what made her yelp in pain. I guess, quick dog lore breakdown if you're not familiar with how those creatures function or anything. The dew claw is separate from, the paw pad area claws. The dew claw is a little higher up on the leg. And it's an old trait from back way in yesteryear when dogs...
Wait, this Hasan fan just said, majority of Texans have shock collars and trained canine. What? You have MAGA knots. Wait, are you... This is the amazing thing about the Hasan cult. So many of them are unaware of what Hasan actually believes. Hasan has actively gone on rants talking about how glad he is Kamala Harris isn't president, and how bad things would be right now if she was. He did not endorse her, did not tell his fans to vote for her. We were the vote blue no matter who, guys. So I'm just gonna ban you, because you're retarded. Don't even try to pretend like your opponents on the left are the pro-MAGA people. Y'all are the ones who refuse to back the blue candidate. You're the ones who did the never vote blue no matter who. Alright, stop gaslighting.
Dogs needed that extra claw. It is just now an evolutionary leftover. It's still present, but it's not something that obviously gets utilized by dogs to the same degree it used to. It is a sensitive area. That is true. If you've ever cut your dog's nails, or if you've ever taken your dog to a dog salon or something and they gave your dog a nail trim, you probably noticed that when it comes to the dew claw, they're very, defensive on it, cautious, because it is such a tender spot. I have watched this
about as much as you would be about your pinky toe and potentially stubbing it.
Clip fucking 10 or 15 times now. And today I had some friends come in from out of town, so obviously I've been out most of the day at the farm, and this was actually a conversational topic. It's become so big that it was brought up by them. And every single person, and pretty much everyone I've seen online outside of Hasan and Hasan's community, is all saying the same thing. That yes, it looks like the dog does touch its leg to that spot on the bed, but it doesn't look like it gets caught or anything. So
in fact, the way it's turned, you kind of see the back of its leg pointing more towards the camera, opposite of where the ledge of the bed would be. So it's possible the dog caught on it and then twisted, which would potentially cause a yelp, but man, watching the video even up close, you can kind of see where the dew claw is, and it doesn't look anywhere near where the edge of that bed is at. Not to mention the dog flinching the paw up would mean the dog would be flinching into the source of the pain, which is not how you flinch. Flinching is a ingrained human and animal reflex, and you will always flinch away from the source of pain. Like, no matter what it is, if it's on your back, the back of your neck, your ear, no matter what, you'll always flinch away from the direction where the pain is coming from, more or less. And that is an involuntary response. Xander, did you learn that from an episode of House? Did that get brought up in House? But no, it's an involuntary response. You will, like, reflexively flinch away from pain. You can't control it. And so, like, the dog pulling away from the ground and up towards the bed doesn't really make sense, but maybe the dog understands what stubbing its dew claw is like, so maybe then it knew what to do. Let's pull up to not be caught on it. I don't know. It's a stretch. Big stretch. Plus, we know it's a shock collar, and we saw him reach for something. I don't buy it.
It feels very unlikely that that is what caused the dog to scream in pain. Like, I don't think that's what made Kaya, that's her name, yelp. It doesn't seem to get caught or snagged on anything, and dew claws aren't so sensitive and so tender that even touching them would cause, like, a panicked scream or anything. Unless she has an injury there, but I don't think Hasan has mentioned that, at least not that I've seen. So it feels to me very unlikely that that's what caused it, based on everything that we can see. Now, initially, even Hasan's community was starting to question, did he just shock Kaya? Did he just use a shock collar on stream? And the clip instantly started going viral, and he kind of downplayed it and shrugged it off as like, oh, a bunch of bad actors attacking me for some fucking phony baloney, barnacles here, you know, unbelievable, this is all a load of fish paste. And instead of doing what I think most people, like, not even just streamers, just normal people would do, of like showing, no, look, it's not a shock collar, obviously I didn't shock my dog, he instead just brushes it off saying, no, it's not a shock collar, you're stupid for thinking that it is. And that's the attitude that his community had as well, like, oh, you must have psychosis if you think it's a shock collar. Which I think is a little odd, because it's the easiest thing in the world to prove, right? You have all these people saying this shit, it's not true. Well, it takes, like, actually 3 seconds just to unclip that collar and just show, like, hey guys, I don't want anyone to get the wrong idea here, this is not a shock collar, look, here's what it is, and then explain it. Like, I feel like even a non-streamer, like a complete, normie, average Joe Schmo, if you—
What would be the amperage on a shock collar? For humans, anything above 12 amps of exposure is usually fatal, 5 amps is usually enough to start causing internal burns. I don't know how much exactly is the safe amount. I've been shocked a fair amount of times. I've never shock collared myself or used a cattle prod or anything like that on myself, but anytime I got the opportunity to touch an electric fence, I'd take it. Through my whole childhood, and there's a surprising amount of situations where I had the opportunity to touch electric fences on farms, and I always touched it. I always did. And it's a wild feeling. Like, when you, like, I would just take, like, first I would go boop, and I would just touch my finger to it, and I'd feel like, the best way I can describe it is it feels like all the bones in your hand jump inside your flesh. Just for a second, just a little jump is kind of how it feels. And I would just, you know, just touch the electric fence a little with my finger, be like, okay, all right, that's not too bad. And eventually I'd, like, smack it a little, just, like, tap it with my palm, and it would go all the way up to my elbow, and I'd be like, that's a wild feeling, that shock. And then eventually I'd start grabbing the electric fence for a second, and just feeling it all the way up to my fucking shoulder and my back a little bit. And my mom would see that and be like, stop! You know, like, understandably so. But I was, like, 12 years old and was like, I'm gonna get fucking powers. If I do this enough, I'm gonna get powers. I'm sure of it. None yet. None yet. So I don't know what the safe amount for a human is, but I've shocked myself a lot of times, and I'm not dead. And my doctor has never told me my heartbeat is, like, fucked, so I guess I'm all good. Guess I'm all good. This might be the longest Zan segment I've ever watched live. Based.
Went to their house and saw that happen, and like, hey, did you just shock that dog? They'd be like, oh my god, no, this is clearly a misunderstanding, no, that's not what happened. Like, I feel like most people would be very quick to show you and prove that it's not a shock collar, because it's so quick and so easy to do. And the fact that he doesn't is odd. Like, it is very peculiar. Why wouldn't you in the moment? Like, that's such a natural thing to do, especially for what's easily a slam dunk. Like, you have all these people attacking you, you could easily just come out and fucking slam jam, thank you.
We've got more Hasan fans coming in. This is seriously way out of the park. Shut up already. Holy fuck. Like, when I say that Hasan's fan base is a cult, I really mean it. Like, Hasan's goal has been to enforce a culture on the left where if you dare criticize him, people will demand you be silent. Like, when we talk about, like, literally being silenced for having opinions that people don't like, this is what it actually looks like. People literally demanding you be silent because you don't have an opinion about a guy that they worship. That's positive. It's, like, unbelievable how obvious they are about, like, worshiping the dude. He's like their Stalin, yeah.
Spam on them by just being like, nope, it's not a shot collar. Look, here you go. The proof is in the pudding. Behold. Like, it'd be so quick, so simple, and it would be irrefutable. But that didn't happen yesterday. Instead, it was kind of brushed off as like, you've got to be fucking stupid to think that, Hasan would shock his dog on stream. And he just kind of propped it up as like, the only people that would believe this are like bad people in the first place, or like, grifters, this kind of thing. And I just find that to just be so disingenuous, because most people are going to see this and it looks like you shock your dog. Given how annoyed you are with the dog, and right before she yelps out in pain, you roll your eyes, you look at something off screen, you clearly are like, you are reaching off screen, that is very clear, and then the dog yelps while you were still annoyed, and then instead of doing like what I feel like most dog owners would do, like check to see like, is everything alright? Why did she just yelp in pain? Instead of doing that, calling her a baby and then mentioning how spoiled she is about roaming the house, like that doesn't compute. If this was her dew claw getting stuck there and then yelping in pain, you would have no idea why she's yelping. Why is your first instinct to call her a baby and then mention how spoiled she is about, your mom letting her roam the house? The response to it just doesn't really seem to make sense if what happened is her dew claw getting stuck there. I just don't see why he would respond that way, like so, like aggressive about it. It just doesn't really make sense.
It doesn't. It doesn't make sense if like, he didn't hit the button and knows exactly what caused that yelp. If he knows what caused the yelp, it makes sense why he didn't ask, and why he was like, you're being a baby, stop, and why he seemed nervous looking at the chat doing all sad faces in response to the dog's yelp. It's pretty clear he did something. He did something there. Now Hasan did respond to Critical, but not Hasan doesn't respond to callouts. Like, a big part of Hasan's way of handling criticism and drama these days is just to refer to it and just not really, like, platform it in a way. And that's, like, understandable when you've got, like, dedicated deranged haters, and that's why I think he gets away with it, is because people are like, yeah, of course Hasan doesn't give these deranged, obsessive haters the time of day. Of course he ignores them most of the time. He doesn't show their call-out videos because, they're obsessive harassers. And that's reasonable. Most people have that line of logic. In the case of Hasan, though, most of the call-out videos on him are like this one, or they're like the ones from Willie Mac. They're well substantiated. They show numerous clips that are not very well known among Hasan's fan base, and even in the context that Hasan could explain by covering the video, I think it would be really hard for his fans to defend the shit he said that they probably don't know he's ever said. And it's just unfortunate. It's unfortunate that it took this for people to start being critical of him, but even then, there are still a lot of people calling him out. I do think this is probably the most legitimate, like, silver bullet to Hasan's career you could pretty much hope for, though. I've never seen his fans this on the defense. Like, I'll cover Hasan dramas, and I'll criticize Hasan, and I'll get one or two Hasan fans mad in the comments. And keep in mind, we're categorizing within my community, a group that is, I would say, statistically a little more likely to share some fan base with Hasan, so there'd be a little higher of a likelihood of people coming in and being like, whoa, you don't like Hasan? Fuck you, liberal. That happens. It's happened a lot more this stream than any other I've ever covered Hasan on, and by a lot. And I think that means something. I think the fact that so many Hasan fans are out there feeling the need to run defense, they're clearly name-searching Hasan, looking for live streams and videos covering this story to, like, raid, shit talk, and dislike. It tells me that his fan base is in panic mode. He's in panic mode, and his, like, hardcore, like, the cult circle are in panic mode, and they're out there trying their best to do damage control. I don't think it's gonna work, though. One thing the internet will never, ever forgive is animal abuse. And I think at this point, no matter what, like, even if a godly response could be put together by Hasan, I don't think the internet's going to drop that opinion of him. I think that's the perception people have, and I don't think it's going anywhere. That's just my 2 cents, though. If you enjoyed this video, consider leaving a like and a comment down below on it in the future, but if you're watching now on stream, make sure to leave a like on the stream, as every thumbs up really does boost the channel and my streams and my videos, my content, everything in the algorithm. It really does help a lot. Consider following my social medias linked down below to see more from me, and subscribe and ring the bell icon to turn on all notifications so you can see more from me on YouTube. And finally, if you want to support me directly, financially, help me keep the lights on and a roof above my head here at the Xanderhal studio, help to support me being able to make the content for you guys well into the future, consider supporting me financially by donating, subscribing, or gifting a sub to somebody else on my website, xanderhal.com/live, or support me financially through YouTube, Twitch, Streamlabs, Stream Elements, Patreon, or buy some custom Xanderhal merch through the Streamlabs link down below. Regardless of how you support me, though, thank you all so much for watching, and as always, have a good one.